Hey, Jack here, back with another video and going through my first 4 weeks of the Chicago Marathon build, aiming to go sub 3 hours 30 over there in October. Now, as you can see on the screen, I was hoping to go through the calendar, click on my first session that I started on the 24th of May, but it only comes up with the actual workout itself too. So decided to switch back to this kind of view, which isn't the best, but I feel like we can work with it and go through each of my sessions in a bit more detail to explain a bit about how training is going and also what it looks like training in hopes to go sub 3 hours 30. So I hope you get a bit of value out of this one. Unlike my other videos, which tend to be very scripted, high energy, I thought this is just a good way to chill, reflect on my current experience 4 weeks into the program, and hoping to do these every 4 weeks in the lead up to Chicago itself too. So without further ado, let's start with discussing week one. Obviously, coming into my third marathon itself, and the training started with a series of issues, obviously shin splints and also tight calf muscles before week one even got here. Managed to still start relatively strong with it, and over these past few weeks I've been working with an osteo to one, build strength in the calf muscles particularly, and to also receive massage work to ensure I can still maintain quite a bit of frequency with my training. For Marathon 3 build, aiming to do 5 runs a week and also 1 day of strength in the gym. Starting with June the 4th, an easy 7K. So Mondays would always be my 7K to absorb the long run, which I'm now doing on the Saturdays, and just a chance to get into the week in a very relatively easy kind of way. So managed to do that at a pace of 5 minutes 40. Tuesdays are dedicated for my speed sessions. So as I mentioned in my video, going over a bit of detail on what my sub 330 plan looks like, one of the workouts that I'm doing with my speed sessions is 3x3Ks at marathon pace. So started up with a warm up, finding that because I usually run from my house through to the beach where there's relatively uninterrupted pathways, 10 minutes wasn't enough to get me from my house to the beach, so I ended up driving a couple of times to get there. If we look closely at the 3K times in particular too, my average pace for those was 440, 435 and 435. In this first speed session for week one, found that running at 450 felt quite easy, and even at this 435, 440 range, really wasn't pushing too much at all as well. So in weeks 2, 3 and 4 following, decided to actually bump up my speed to run at faster than marathon pace to, I guess, build that lactate threshold and also that ability to run at a faster pace for longer, and hoping that translates later in my training when I do decide, okay, start running at 440s, translates into it being easier on race day, if that makes sense. So Wednesday, strength day, Thursday, easy 8 kilometers at 530 pace roughly, into 10Ks at 525 pace, finishing off week one with 16 kilometers as well at 526 pace. Overall, no real issues for week one, and again, really just battling with the calf muscle tightness, almost lost what muscle that was called, and the shin splints as well. Heading into week two, again starting with a casual 7K run here, and had to actually mix up my training here again, deciding to do 7Ks, only because I had a camp on that week. So I had to stay overnight at one of the university colleges as part of my work. So this week was very scattered in terms of my planning. 10Ks on Wednesday after getting home, after doing the overnight shift there, 510 kilometers, which were good. So Thursday, because the 5th, sorry, I'm just checking. Yeah, the 5th was a Friday, so that's where I opted to do my speed session that day. With this 3x2K repeats, I know originally I was going to do 4x2K, but then also convinced by one of you fellow subscribers to do 5x2Ks. During this Friday session, it was also when my shins were flaring up quite a lot, so I had to pull back and take it a little easier. And again, we have a look at the average pace for these 2K splits is 4:02 average pace, 4 minutes and 3:56. With shin splints and battling them, I feel like that was a bit too fast for this week, but again, managed to knock it out of the park pretty comfortably, and felt going into my long run was very sore, to be honest. Decided to stick to a 16K for week 2, and again, this 5:05 average pace was very quick for 16Ks. Okay, and now for week 2, obviously doing the 5:05 average pace over the course of it, realized I also included marathon efforts as part of the run itself. So I believe here I had a 4K warm up to get me to the beach, as I mentioned, and then from kilometers 3-kilometer warm up to get me to the beach, and then from 4 through to 6, so 3Ks at marathon pace, roughly 4:28, which was quite comfortable actually. And I ran this particular long run in my Hokas as well, so I felt like that was the ability to keep me running at a pretty comfortable pace for that distance. Another 3Ks, 4:20, so even faster than what I had done before. And then going into just complete recovery runs, running back home from the beach itself. So knocked out another 3Ks as well, so all up totaling to 16Ks for week 2. Get to week 3, again cruisy 7 kilometers doing 5:22 pace, another 3x3K at marathon pace. For this session, actually managed to keep quite consistent in terms of the running speed. I feel like obviously 3x3Ks, 9Ks in total, you're not really going to fatigue too much, but I feel like that 4:25 pace for the distance of 42 kilometers at the moment for me isn't quite possible. Go on over to Thursday, which was an 8 kilometer at 5:34 pace, keeping it relatively easy for these ones. Bumping up the Fridays to 12Ks in this week, running that at 5:20, feeling very comfortable. Through to 18Ks for week 3 here, and again, this one included some marathon efforts. Had 5Ks warm up this time, and then hopped into 4 kilometers at marathon effort, or faster than marathon effort. I keep calling it marathon effort. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be holding for 4-minute 25 kilometers. Pretty confident as well. 4:22, again, that one was quicker than normal. And then the casual run home afterwards. So that was 2x3Ks at marathon effort with a kilometer of recovery in between each. Head on over to week 4 now, which is literally just this week. 7Ks, easy, cruisy again, nothing too stressful there. I decided, originally I had 5x2Ks on this session, and 5x2Ks at the moment, I was like, I really wanted to actually see where my body was at, opting to do 10Ks at marathon effort itself. So here I did the warm up until lap button press, which was just under 2Ks to get me again to the beach, and ended up doing 10Ks here at marathon effort, which again, faster than what I was wanting to, and ended up doing a PB for this race in both the 10K and the 5K itself. So I'll put those on the screen here now so you know exactly what those are. And yeah, I honestly here was just concentrating on the 10Ks to see what pace I could actually hold for as long as possible. And yeah, as a result, managed to also get... Oh, never mind, Jack. It's right there. 42 minutes and 16 seconds for the 10K time, but the 5K we'll put up here somewhere. Finished with Thursday, another easy 8Ks. And then again this week, bumping that Friday easy run up to 14 kilometers too. This was one of those days where my run just felt like it lasted forever, but as I got into it, it felt pretty chill. And then we finished with today's long run, which I literally just completed a few hours ago, completing it in 1:32 with an average pace of 5:08. Felt very comfortable through it all. And yeah, essentially, let's zoom into me just having a chat with you now. Overall, feeling pretty good. Shoe rotation wise, I'm still sticking with my Nimbus 25s as just a recovery shoe, everyday kind of things. Nimbus 26 for my long runs usually when I'm feeling good. Got my Mizuno Rebellion Flash V1s that I use for my speed workouts. Found that I actually bruised one of my metatarsals as a result here. So ended up having to stick like one of these heel pad wedges I ended up getting for some work boots on to stop the pain, which has actually worked, but because it's been so rainy during my speed sessions, that's ended up falling off, so gonna have to stick another one on and hope that lasts. Really big surprise here though is my Adidas Supernova Risers have been amazing to run in, like such a super comfy shoe, and I opt to use those for my 8Ks on a Thursday and even my 10 to 14Ks on the Friday recently. Have absolutely loved them, and it's such a comfortable ride, to be honest. So for a shoe that I only paid $150 for on special, would highly recommend checking it out if you're looking for a pair of daily runners but not quite full of that foam stack to be considered, you know, your long run max cushion shoe. I haven't really gotten too far into experimenting with my nutrition just yet, opting to use some spare gels that I have lying around from my previous 2 marathon trainings. But Gatorade Endurance will be offered on the course, and it's very expensive to get shipped over into Australia. So potentially thinking at using my Salt Lick tablets, I believe they're called, for topping up electrolytes over the course and sticking that to my SIS gels, which I feel like I'm going to opt for again for this one. Over to my Wednesday gym sessions, a lot of it is just rinse and repeat, doing my single leg lunges and squats. Recently started Bulgarian squats, hip thrusts, and a truck ton of calf raises. Essentially, the main goal with my strength training for this marathon is to prevent as much pain from occurring in the shins as possible. I'm actually just trying to think of if I've missed anything, to be honest, because overall, I haven't missed a single session so far in this first 4 weeks of training, only having to modify a couple sessions to let the shins kind of recover. But over week 4, as I've finished it now, kind of accept the fact, and this has always been a thing for me since the end of my first marathon, but also through my second one, is that I'm just going to have to live with running through shin splits until the end of this marathon block. And I think once I'm finished with Chicago, we'll take some time off to let my shins recover in preparation for another event that I might announce in the near future. So I think I'll leave it there for weeks 1 to 4 of my sub 3:30 Chicago Marathon build. Let me know in this next weeks 5 through to 8 if there's any particular parts to the video you want me to focus on. If it's spending some more times in the data and analytics, more than happy to do that too, and hope that this very laid back chill version is a good way just to see a bit of the process going into training for something like a 3:30 marathon and really seeing if it's going to be possible come October. I hope you're doing well over on your side of the screen there, and if you're out there running, hoping that all of that is going well for you too. I'm Jack, and I'll see you next time. Catch up.